to augment it in a way that provides authority by statute for the U.S. government to take gold certificates, which we hold them at about a 1974 value, which was, I don't know, $46 an ounce or some such thing, and then bring them to market value and then use that to buy Bitcoin. If we did that, we could probably buy 200,000 Bitcoin every year for 5 years, hold them for 20 years, and not use a single new taxpayer dollar to do it. So, this is a very doable thing.
Welcome back to the channel. That was Cynthia Loomis talking about the Bitcoin Act and the plan to revalue the Fed's gold, get the difference of that, and buy Bitcoin. That would be a net neutral way to buy Bitcoin for the U.S. government and put it on the balance sheet. So we'll be interesting to see if this bill passes or not, but you can see some of the details of that bill right there. And then we're going to get into MSTR, some Bitcoin news, have a clip at the end I want to share with you guys, so stay tuned for all that. But if you've been wondering about the difference between MSTR versus Strike and Strife, you can see right here. MSTR is the common stock. You have the preferred stock for both STRK and STRF, the 8% dividend versus the 10% dividend. Bitcoin upside is going to be the highest with MSTR, the most volatile there. STRK is going to be medium, and STRF is going to be the lowest. And I did read somewhere that this 10%, I believe, is actually going up to 12%. And then with the voting rights, you get it with MSTR, but you don't get it with the other two offerings. The conversion feature, you don't have that for either MSTR or STRF. But with STRK, you get the convertible to common stock at 10-to-1 at $1,000 per MicroStrategy share. Priority in liquidation, MSTR is last. And then these are both above the common stock, but below the debt. So I hope that clears up some of these offerings for you guys to see the differences between STRK and STRF there. And according to Strategy, they believe that the STRK serves a market 2.6x larger than MSTR. Activating the ATM provides Strategy daily access to this market. So you can see the total equity market is around $115 trillion. They're saying with STRK, they're going to be targeting the bond market here. And that market is 2.6x larger than MSTR. Strife would also be targeting this market because they're both fixed income instruments. So Saylor's just looking to tap into that $300 trillion bond market there. And then the close on Friday, we had massive amounts of volume, around $1.7 billion of volume for MSTR going up into the close. So a lot of volume there for MSTR going into the close, and you can see for the day we ended at around 6.62 billion. MSTR in the top 11 here, trading with some of the biggest companies in the world. Definitely good to see a lot of appetite for MSTR, a lot of trading volume there for MSTR, so that's definitely good to see. And this is back from Q4 2024, but just to remind everybody, there are some big players who are buying MSTR. You can see the list right here, and every single one of these players, they bought at least 1 million shares in Q4. Going forward, these players will probably be buying MSTR because they believe in the future of it. So that is really, really good to see there. And then we have MSTR sitting at around 304. That's where it closed on Friday. We have Bitcoin trading at 84,000. If you need a place to trade MSTR or any other stock, you can do that with MooMoo. Use our affiliate link. When you sign up, you get up to 30 free stocks valued up to $2,000 each per stock. So make sure to check that out. That's going to be free money. That'll be in the comment section and the description below. And then another company here adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet. ATAI Life has decided to add Bitcoin to its treasury management tools. So just another company adopting the Bitcoin standard. And we look at ATAI Life, you can see here their stock has been down 92% over the past couple of years since they've IPO'd back in 2021. The market cap is only around $243 million. So this does look to be like a dying company if you look at the stock price. I haven't dove into the financials here, but looks like the stock is dying. So Bitcoin could help revive this stock. But also on the flip side, if some of these smaller companies that buy Bitcoin, put it on the balance sheet, if they go bankrupt, they're going to have to sell the Bitcoin. So that could be some selling pressure on Bitcoin in the future. So it's good to see that they're doing this, but these companies really need to have their risk management in place to make sure their companies doesn't go underwater and they don't have to end up selling their Bitcoin. Then Bitcoin miner, BitDeer Official, they increased their Bitcoin hodl by 26 to 1,116. So a lot of the miners not selling their Bitcoin there. And this is a pretty good picture that was put together. I thought it really shows you where the Bitcoin is going. So some of the biggest players, MSTR and the global ETFs, are some of the biggest buyers of Bitcoin. And you can see some of the public companies in here, Tether, El Salvador, how much Bitcoin they've been buying, and then the net Bitcoin that's being taken away. Over the past 2 months, we've seen more Bitcoin being sold than bought up. So you can see that in this number here. Over the past year, you can see that it's definitely been more Bitcoin sold. And the ETFs are one of the biggest reasons why the Bitcoin is being bought up and not being sold at all. When we see the ETF selling, we start to see this number go positive again. So there's more Bitcoin being put out there and there's not being as much put into cold storage. And a big reason why is the ETFs, when the traditional markets sell off, the ETFs tend to sell. You can see they sold a lot in February. They sold quite a bit in March. Over the past week or so, we've seen a little bit of a reversal in that. The ETFs have started buying again. So if we can see the ETFs start to buy Bitcoin again, we're definitely going to see the price of BTC rise to the upside. And then looking at some quick technical analysis, Bitcoin versus oversold RSIs, you can see the RSI for Bitcoin is definitely oversold here. And we have a local bottom potentially playing out for BTC, so we could see Bitcoin get bullish over the next couple of weeks. And then to look at a little bit of a state reserve rates update from the United States governments that are looking to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, we don't really have too much movement here, but Arizona and Texas and Oklahoma are in the lead. And we're going to see what happens over the next couple of months, but these bills have been taking a while to get passed and go through all these different steps. But not a really big update here. You can see some of the other states that are looking to potentially get the Bitcoin strategic reserves. Texas has quite a few there. So that's all I had for today's video. I have another clip I want to share with you guys. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. My name is Aaron from Bitcoin Bros. Like and subscribe. We have new content coming out every single day. Appreciate every single one of you guys watching all the way to the end. I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.
The U.S. has already acquired about 200,000 BTC. That's worth about $17 billion. Strategy CEO Michael Saylor is suggesting that the U.S. acquire up to 25% of the Bitcoin supply by 2035. What would be the target amount for the United States in your view?
Well, I get asked this question a lot, and I think the answer to that, like I said at the summit yesterday, is as much as we can possibly get, so long as it's in budget neutral ways that don't cost the taxpayer a dime. I think we have a lot of high IQ people in the building that are working on this, and folks over at the Treasury office and folks over at Commerce, working with the internal working group that was set up in the first digital assets EO. We'll be able to come up with ways to accumulate more really over the course of the next few years and beyond that. I mean, look, we view Bitcoin as being digital gold. That's why we set up the strategic Bitcoin reserve in the way that we did, right? Bitcoin is a commodity. It's not a security. As our AI and cryptos, our David Sachs likes to say, it has the immaculate conception, meaning that there's no issuer. It has intrinsic stored value that's traditionally accepted. And we feel like it's in the best interest of Americans to hold on to this asset long term and accumulate as much as we can get. That's why we've akin this to digital gold and talked about building the digital Fort Knox for the United States. And, you mentioned the Bitcoin that we have possession of. We've actually been in possession of nearly 400,000 Bitcoin. We sold roughly half of that prematurely at about, I think it was close to $370 million is what we sold it for. If we would have held on to that, it would have been worth $17 billion today. I mean, it just goes to show you how important this asset is and what we can do with it to benefit the American people. One thing that I've said repeatedly throughout the media circuit is that I think it's really nice that we have a president that's actually looking to accumulate assets for Americans rather than take it away, unlike the last regime that we had here at the White House. But we feel very confident about our plan. We feel confident about the internal working group that was set up in that first EO. And I think we're going to have tremendous ideas on how to accomplish it.